All right, so today I'm going to talk about holes out of play, mostly for any reason, but certainly for maintenance purposes. Um, yeah, you never know uh, when you might need it. Sometimes maintenance, you need to know when it's going. You need to know it's coming up, but sometimes you don't know it's coming up if something happens. We've had a lot of maintenance questions this year, of course, uh, with the storm that hit Western North Carolina and South Carolina last fall, doing a wide range of damage out to courses. But that's hopefully just an odd occurrence that we won't see again. But a lot of times we're just doing clubs are undergoing maintenance for various reasons. So let's just go right into it here. Course maintenance. We have holes out of play, and there's lots of permutations and combinations of how we can handle it. I'm going to be talking on how do we post scores for holes that are out of play due to course maintenance, closure for whatever reason. So if you have one hole out of play or holes out of play on the same nine, you have one hole out of play or two holes out of play on the same nine, 16 and 17. You'll have two options for the handicap committee to decide how scores can be posted. So one of them is to post scores hole by hole, leaving those holes that are out of play blank, leave them empty. And that's expected score is used to fill in that and create that 18 hole score differential. I like this method. Nice and simple. So we're doing that. So, but there is also the option for handicap committees to use net par in this particular case. That is an option. It's allowed by the USGA. It's an exception of the use of net par. Either method's fine. I do encourage the use of expected score. As you know, I like hole by hole posting as it is. But it is important to have a consistent club-wide policy for your members. You don't really want half the golfers using net par, half using expected score. You really want it consistent so that your handicap indexes, while there really shouldn't be a change or a difference between the two methods when it comes to handicap indexes, it's still good to make sure that everybody's doing the same thing. Now, if you have one hole out of play on each nine, number eight, and most of the time when I talk about examples, I'll be talking about just a standard 18 hole setup. Obviously, if there's 9 holes or 27 holes, it's just a little bit different. But if you have hole out of play on each of the nines that you're playing, then there's only one option. Then we have to use that net par option. As you know, one of the requirements of posting hole by hole and using expected score for unplayed holes is that it requires the play of a rated 9. For whatever reason, it requires a rated 9 in there. So typically you have to play all of the front, all of the back. So you have to use net par, and this is a good application of net par if you have one hole out of play on each 9. And there's going to be, of course, you might have similar situations uh, where net par can be used when a hole wasn't played on either side, whether it was a shotgun that got rained out, any number of circumstances where a golfer may have played 16 holes and skipped a hole on the front, skipped a hole on the back. It is important though to know that net par is restricted to be used no more than 2 holes, not to be used for 3 or 4. We want to use net par no more than 2 holes. And I'm sure everybody knows what a net par is. Here's an end of a scorecard. The golfer's getting a shot on 17 and 18. Here's the stroke indexes of say their course handicap is 14, or their playing handicap is course handicap is 14. They would get a shot on 17 and 18. They would post a net par. So here's our par. Add a shot for each. All right, rolling on here. All right, so if you have more than 2 holes out of play on a single side, so you have 3 holes out of play, 4 holes out of play on a single nine, 5 holes out of play even, then we have to use our hole by hole option, leaving the holes that are out of play blank when posting scores. And again, that's we create that expected score. The system will create the expected score for the unplayed holes, combine that together to make an 18 hole score differential. Nice and simple. Golfer doesn't have to figure out net pars. Net pars would make things a little inequitable. And so golfer here posts a score. Here's a screenshot from the app. and choose either the hole by hole or hole by hole with stats option. All right, but if you have more than two holes out of play on one side and one hole out of play on the other, or more than two holes out of play on both sides, then we only have one option here, and that's that we cannot post our scores. There's just no way to do it within the rules of handicapping. We cannot post scores. If you have 7 and 8 are out of play, or we'll say 8 and 9 and 10 and 11 are all in a low part of the course that got flooded, we're not able to post scores. But if this is going to be a long-term situation with a routing like that that's closed, we could look at creating some sort of temporary rating, whether it's a 9-hole rating in there or any, just a temporary 9-hole rating if the routing works out, if it's going to be a long enough term situation. Hopefully we don't have anything like that to deal with too much, but that's something you could do. And you just need to contact us here at the CGA to see what we could do about getting some sort of temporary course and slope rating for a small routing. Um, Now, if you have 1-9 closed, this is actually a picture of Ashboro Municipal lost a whole 9 with the floods. 1-9 came out okay. The other 9 uh, had the water. All right, so if we have 1-9 completely closed and the other 9 is fully open. I've had clubs this year, they're working on cart pass, so they did 1-9 at a time. So we have a few options there. If you have a 1-9's completely closed, again, for whatever reason, cart path repair, what have you. So if it's just going to be a short-term time frame, um, golfers can just post 2 separate 9-hole scores. Post they played the front, put in that 9-hole score, post that they played the front again, post another 9-hole score. What's the definition of short term? There isn't one, but kind of just however long you might think, maybe a week or 2 weeks might be short term. Anything longer than that, then hey, maybe catch up with me here at the CGA and we'll see what we can do because, um, oh, and a little note, just posting 2 separate 9-hole scores for an 18-hole round that you played the front 9 twice or the back 9 twice, that's not going to affect your handicap indexes. You're still going to have an equitable and accurate handicap index for your golfers. Um, that being said, we don't want to do it if it's a long-term situation. We kind of start to get too many 9-hole scores in there. Um, yeah, so if the time frame for that 9 to be closed is a long term, then you can request from the CGA for temporary 18-hole ratings using the same side twice. And I've got a couple clubs going through that right now where I've created ratings for the back 9 twice, and I'll inactivate the regular ratings. Golfers can just go in and when they play 18 holes, just post an 18-hole score using those back 9 twice or front 9 twice tees, whatever we're set at. And then I just flipped one over the other day. I flipped it. They got done with their back 9 work. I flipped them over from the posting on the front 9 twice to posting on the back 9 twice. Not a problem to do. Doesn't take too long. So you can contact me, Director of Handicapping here at the CGA. As you may know, Greg Kelly does our course ratings in North Carolina. He's our CGA Director of Course Ratings. If you're down in South Carolina, James Parks, our South Carolina Golf Association Director of Member Services, who handles course ratings in South Carolina, and he'd be glad to set that up as well. All right, temporary tees, often another thing that pops up when there's maintenance. So you're working on the whole set of tee boxes, but so you're going to play just the hole as a temporary par 3, or maybe a temporary par 4, something for a par 5, whatever the case may be. So if you've got some temporary par 3s going out there, that's fine. That's great. What can you do? There's a couple different things. If the time frame for the temporary par 3 is short term, then we can follow the earlier guidance as if the holes were out of play. So that's fine. If it's just a short term, a week or two, you can handle it like we did with the earlier cases with um, using expected score, just not posting your score for that hole, or using net par. That's fine for those temporary teed holes. But if it's going to be a longer term, in a couple of weeks or longer than a couple of weeks, we'll be glad to get you a temporary rating for that course. You would just need to provide us with the yardage. hey, Jim, the hole is going to play at 150 yards for the next month. Can we get a temporary course and slope rating? That's fine. We can put that in. We don't need to come out there and visit. We can use the existing data we have and give you a temporary course and slope rating for those tees. And again, contact any of the three of us to get that done, depending on where you are. More about temporary tees. Another option when there's temporary tees on any number of holes is to use Appendix G in the rules of handicapping. So I don't know how many people are familiar with Appendix G, but it's out there. And it allows you to essentially on your own handle getting a temporary course and slope rating. Um, so it does require scores to be posted using manual entry or scores to be posted through the tournament software. If your pro has added this temporary tee into your tournament software, that can handle scores getting posted back. So I've pulled a little quote from Appendix G from the Rules of Handicapping. The Handicap Committee must notify the Authorized Association, CGA, when temporary changes are being made to the golf course that may affect the course rating. The Authorized Association will determine whether scores made under such conditions are acceptable for handicap purposes, which is usually going to be yes, and whether the course slope rating should be modified temporarily. Yeah, so if anytime there's a temporary change, feel free to let me know. Um, I'll pretty much just go at your word of your thoughts of what the changes are involved. Um, where a temporary course and slope rating has been issued, information must be made available to players prior to the commencement of the round. Yeah, so um, we can provide a temporary course rating. Appendix G can be handy for providing a temporary course rating for a short-term adjustment to your course for whatever reason, maintenance, maybe a special tournament. We have to be careful with it, though. I had a club um, late last year. They changed the way it worked on. It was the first hole, a long par five. They were doing some work to the tee boxes and some other work uh, on the short part of the first part of the fairway. Well, anyway, they put the tee boxes up in the fairway and turned it into a par four. And the pro went ahead and used Appendix G, which is fine, to get the course and slope rating. So, and he advertised them on the pro shop, but does require players to use the manual entry option, which can be a little tricky, and we're relying on your golfers to find that option, manually enter their course and slope rating. So that's why I kind of lean toward, hey, we'll be glad to get you a temporary course rating for a long-term thing like this. We'll gladly just get the yardage for the new hole. Glad they get you a temporary course rating, because players ended up doing things on their own. They probably either just post the scores using the regular routing, and then I had a lot of players who said, "Oh, we just used net double bogey or net par or any or they didn't use net par, which actually would have been okay, as I just mentioned earlier. But they were doing something like just they were not entering the correct scores. They were using the wrong score in there. So they handicap, we like to have accurate handicap indexes, um, and accurate. Oh, I lost somebody here. Um, hang on. All right. Um, anyway, so have any temporary issues, call us. We'll be glad to get you straightened out, get accurate handicaps and accurate scores posted. That's why we're here. Um, or on temporary too. So I'll talk about Appendix G because it is helpful um, a lot of times, and we use it here. We used it recently to help a club who had a custom tee set for an inter club match. Um, or no, it was a mid-am qualifier. No, in an inter club match as well. So for 18-hole golf course, if approved by the authorized association, the issuance of a temporary course and slope rating is determined by the handicap committee so that's a little gray area, but is determined by the handicap committee, which is fine, or the authorized association for the following procedure set out below. So the way this handicap or the Appendix G works is to locate the nearest set of rated tees for the appropriate gender and determine the measured difference between the set of tees being played and the rated set of tees. For differences under 100 yards, if there's just a difference under 100 yards, we don't need to make any modifications to the course and slope ratings. Scores could be submitted as usual. For differences between 100 and 300 yards, we can use the Appendix G table in the rules of handicapping to determine the adjustments required and issue a temporary course and slope rating. Um, if you have a temporary setup greater than 300 yards, please reach out to us. It's kind of contradictory here. I really want you to let us know either way or what's going on, which is certainly fine. But definitely, if it's greater than 300 yards, give us a shout because the table only goes up to 300 yards. And you can kind of get an idea of how it works. And yardage is the biggest factor when it comes to course ratings. And so it just breaks it down by ranges here for men as well as ranges here, again, 100 yards to 300 yards for women. And similar for a 9-hole course, differences under 50 yards, no adjustments necessary. Scores can be posted as usual. Contact us, CGA or James down at the South Carolina Golf Association for any adjustment greater than 150 yards. So kind of moving on, talking about a few other similar cases here. When weather cuts a round short, if you don't play enough holes, weather cuts your round off. Thunderstorm happens, you're not able to finish your round, you're not able to get back out there after the rain stops, what have you. As a reminder, we are posting scores hole by hole using that expected score, as long as at least 10 holes are played, of course. I got to play at least 10 holes to use this method. If you happen to play 9 holes, you can post it as a regular 9-hole score, post the total score, or post hole by hole. Again, the preferred method. And less than 9 holes may not post that score. Touching on 4 course conditions, which is talked about in the rules of handicapping. As stated in Rule 7.2, the committee in charge of a competition of the rules of handicapping, the Handicap Committee or Competition Committee can request that score posting be suspended due to exceptionally poor course conditions. So if it's really bad at your course for whatever reason, but it's open and people are playing, score posting can be suspended. Pretty rare. Pretty rare case that happens, but it could happen out there. Something to be aware of. But generally, normal maintenance procedures such as aeration would not fall under the category of exceptionally poor course conditions. I get that question a lot. Greens are aerated. Can we post scores? You can post scores just fine. Not a problem at all. But the club would need to determine if the course is not reflective of its ratings or if putting would be exceptionally difficult due to aeration. So that's kind of a judgment call. Would putting be exceptionally difficult? But that would be a reason to suspend score posting. The course would not be able to suspend score posting simply because the greens have been aerated. Sometimes the process has no impact on how greens play, in which case score posting should continue. And the Handicap Committee must consult with the CGA authorized, AGA authorized golf association before suspending score posting. The AGA will decide whether scores are to be accepted for handicap purposes. Usually don't have a problem with, I usually will listen to my handicap chairs and see how they feel. All right, this presentation is going quicker and it was shorter than I thought it would be. But I got a few more things to talk about. If you have permanent changes going on at your golf course, golf club must notify the authorized association, the CGA, when permanent changes are made to a golf course. It's surprising how much we don't hear about changes to a golf course, whether it's permanent changes or stroke indexes, what have you. Let us know so we can make sure to make the appropriate changes. Permanent changes to the golf course require the authorized association to review the current course and slope rating and to determine whether a re-rating is necessary. So depending on what was done, we would either make no adjustment, make an adjustment just on the computer through the system, or in some cases might need to come out and take a look And it also may depend on how close your course is due to be re-rated. So sometimes if a course is getting close to needing to be re-rated and then there's maintenance, we'll put off the re-rating until the maintenance is done so we get an accurate rating. Yeah, so really that's most of the things I wanted to talk about. Hopefully I'll have a few questions. Um, but I will mention our future seminar topics. I've got another one which might be a little short too: preferred lies, root rules, mulligans, misshaped greens, those kind of questions that I get. I'm going to have a one on stroke index allocations. Um, but new to this, it was today the new handicap review tool has been released. So that's available now. I checked it just a minute ago. It's out there and it is pushed out. The new club-wide handicap review tool. Um, I'm going to catch up with, send an email to all the handicap contacts early next week with some details. I'm still waiting on some documentation from the USGA and that. And I do plan to do a couple online demos of the new tool to see how it works, to show everyone how it works. It's straightforward, but it'll be worth taking a look at to learn to see how it looks and see how it runs. But that is out there and ready to go. I know a lot of people have been waiting for that one. And I have been recording these seminars and I've got them available on the registration website, the Handicap Committee schedule website there on Golf Genius. Questions? What do we have? Anything? We got, again, small group today, so and most of you I know have watched a lot of my seminars and been in contact with. I appreciate all the things you all do. Excuse me. Excuse me. Um, any questions at all today on anything? Any of the topics I had? Ed, I know you fell out of the meeting for a second. Hope I got you back in quick enough. All right. Well, you all know
Tim, I
what
got a
to do.
question.
Oh, good. Great.
How do you treat, going back to temporary tee boxes, how do you treat handicaps on, say, closed holes or closed tees?
Oh, that's a good question. Something I probably should have thrown in there. Um, it also kind of goes with, how long is the change is going to be in effect. Short term, probably just worth leaving them as is. Um, Again, when it comes to stroke indexes, doesn't make a heck of a lot of difference where they get their strokes as long as they're spread out. But I can understand, yeah, if you had the number one stroke index hole is now a par three, we certainly you certainly can make a temporary change to the stroke indexes if you feel that's necessary. Yeah, in a case like that, a long par five that's maybe number one, number three, number two stroke index hole, but being played as a par three for the next month. Yeah, certainly make a tweak to those stroke indexes to account for that. Yeah, that's a great question. Uh, I should have thrown that one in there, Patrick.
So if on in match play, so if say a white tee player gets doesn't gets a stroke, now let's say they both get a stroke on a hole, but they move the tees up to where the red player is hitting. Does the white tee box player still get a stroke, or could that be eliminated in match
Mm.
play?
So both players would wait, white tee. But they're both playing the red tee.
But normally you're playing a player that plays from the white tees, and that was closed and moved up to the red tees. So they're both hitting from the red tees. So then would the white tee player still get a stroke in match play?
Are the stroke indexes for each of the tees the same or are they different?
The same.
Oh, they're the same. Um, so they would, I don't think it would make any difference. Um, let me make sure I've got your thought, uh, got that thought correct in my brain. Um, so they're both getting a handicap. They both would be getting a stroke. Well, they wouldn't be getting a stroke if they're both getting a stroke if they're playing just an individual match. since the lowest player is playing off 0. Um, yeah, it's just going to be how it falls on that card for that golfer who's playing the tee. It's just going to be how it falls. I think did I get understand you right, Patrick? Or I'm
Well,
sorry.
I'm not sure. We got a situation in our course, and
Okay,
all the back tees have been moved up to the front tees. And these back tee players can drive the fairway, drive the whole hole, and easily make par or birdie. And would they still get a stroke because it's one of the harder holes on the course? Versus the red tee player who would still get a stroke, but now they're competing against somebody who can drive the green and still get a stroke.
sure. Yeah, I mean, if the stroke indexes are the same, then they're still getting, yeah, they're going to get their stroke. Maybe that'd be a case where you might look at getting different stroke indexes for the red tees. Um,
So would you change all the indexes across the scorecard or just drop the handicap as that hole is now not the second hardest hole, it's now the
right. So
fourth hardest hole?
yeah, the recommendation is to have the same stroke indexes for all tee
Right.
sets for all genders. But if you feel that a shorter tee set needs a different set of stroke indexes, just because cases like this, you can have a custom stroke index for that set of tees, if you feel that's necessary. And could it be short term? That's fine too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if that's something your club wants to do, your handicap committee wants to do, we could adjust the red tee stroke indexes for a time um, to make things, if you feel it, make them more equitable.
All right. And I have one other follow-up question. If you're closing, say at one hole, could they play an additional hole to make up for that closed hole?
They could, that would be, but when it comes to posting, we'd have to have, if that's going to be the standard way to play. Um, yeah, we had a case like that. We had a club that had an extra hole, one of those bonus 19th holes,
Mhm.
uh, playoff hole. Yeah, we made a temporary course of slope rating, eliminating the hole that was out of the play and using that extra 19th hole, and we created a temporary course of slope rating for that. Um, that's something that certainly can be done, whether it's an extra 19th hole or if you're playing number one again or something like that.
Right.
We could make a temporary course of slope rating for that kind of routing for sure.
All right. Thanks.
Yep, you bet, Patrick. Thank you. Yes.
James, this is
Uh,
Denise.
yeah. Hi, Denise. I'll get.
Hi,
Well,
go ahead.
I'll send out those PDFs as soon as we clock out here.
Question,
Yes.
9-hole players, and you've closed one of those holes. Those players cannot post anything. If one of their holes on a 9-hole course and they only play 9 holes, they can't post anything.
Right.
Do you post a nut par?
I'm going to double check, but I'm pretty sure if you played 8 holes, this
You
is
can't post.
the one odd case where let me check on that, Denise.
Thank
Um,
you.
I think they'd allowed that. I've forgotten about it and I never encourage it, but I think that's a case if you play 8, you can use net par on a maintenance situation. Yeah.
Okay,
But I'll
but you,
confirm with that. And actually I'll follow up with an answer to everybody in my email as well.
I
But
appreciate
I'm pretty sure that's the really narrow case that.
it. It's a narrow case, but we have a lot of 9-hole players
Sure.
here. And
Yep.
so,
Understand.
thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Anyway, good questions to finish that up. That was good. Um, nice tidy half hour. Anything else, you all know where to reach me. Um, very good. I'll let you all go. I appreciate all your work as in handicap committees. Y'all take care and have a great day.